So we want, for the want of time, we directly shift to the next three most important talks. May I call upon the stage moderators for the session, Dr. Rashid Desai and Dr. Jaideep Date, for three wonderful talks related to urology practice.
Hello. Namaskar.
Yeah, so we call the next speaker, Dr. Godbole, Harshvardhan Godbole. He is going to talk on urology practice. Desh या विदेश क्या है संदेश.
नमस्कार. मेरा नाम है हर्षवर्धन गोडबोले. मी मुंबईचा मराठी माणूस आहे. And for the last 30 years, I've been spending my time in the United Kingdom. In the first 7 years, I was in training, and since 2004, I've been a consultant urologist over there. But before I commence, I'd like to take a moment to think about those families who were touched with grief in the recent tragedy. I do not know these people. I will never meet them, but I felt their pain, and I wish them peace and solace in the years to come. I would also like to thank the organizers for inviting me to talk and give a summary of my 30 years in the UK with a view to... Something's not right. Okay. With a view to give some understanding of how one becomes a consultant in the United Kingdom. There may be people over here who are interested or even curious. And once you become a consultant, what is life like? Is it even worth it? So let me start that when you begin your journey, no doubt it has to be online. And these are the websites I would suggest that you would browse. NHS Jobs and BMJ Classifieds are the places where each and every job in the UK is advertised, and you have the opportunity to look for the region that you want to work in, the type of job that you want to get into, and it also gives you a description of the department, has a comprehensive form, gives you essential and desirable criteria, and you make your choices and you apply. Every job by default has to be advertised, interviewed, and appointed. Once you get appointed, then the next step is for you to enter the state with a valid entry, and you can see for yourself that there are two types of visas that you need. The Tier 5 visa, as I see most of the youngsters here are all qualified urologists, and you may not want to go back to do PLAB or the qualifying examinations, and there is a way to come to the United Kingdom if you have a job where you have declared that you do not have registration qualifications, but you have a urology degree. You get appointed, and then you can come where the Royal College of Surgeons will sponsor you, and that will give you GMC registration. But if that leads on to you having changed your mind and wanting to stay on, then you have to pass the FRCS urology, go back to your country, apply for a Tier 2 visa and come back, but that's a formality. Either ways, you have to get this document. This is called a completion of certificate of specialist training. That was how it looked so many years ago. Now it's all online. And there are two ways to do it. You can either go through the training pathway, or there is a non-training pathway through which you can do it. In our department, we have both trainees and non-trainees who we've made into wonderful colleagues and consultants and subspecialists and so on. In the standard training pathway, you do your MBBS, you get on to your core training, you do your foundation years, and then we have a 5-year training program in urology. After ST5, which is the 5th year, as a registrar, you're allowed to give the FRCS urology, and at ST7, you're awarded the CCT, which then appoints you to become a consultant. You can not do all that, and most of the people who I see here who may wish to pursue this can do it through a non-training pathway where you have to prove the equivalence. You have to have all the documents of the trainee. You have to have the subspecialty rotation and the logbooks and 4 to 6 consultants to sign you off, and then you can apply, and the authorities will either sign you off or not sign you off to get you the CCT, which is the certificate which will allow you to become a consultant. You've done that. Now you are a consultant. Once you become a consultant, it's a job for life. If you prefer, there is no retirement. You have a wonderful pension, and this is supposed to be the best pension in the world because it takes into account inflation. And if you choose to partially retire, you do get a lump sum. During my talk, I'm also going to give you some realistic hard facts, and it will help you to make your choice whether all of this is worth it or not. But when you do choose partial retirement or otherwise, you will get a tax-free lump sum of £250,000, which you can use and choose as you please. You have a sick leave and an annual leave, and generally up to 2 months of paid leave you get. Death in service. These are the pay grades of the NHS consultant. You start off with these, and when you convert these, currently I think the exchange rate is 115 rupees, but to keep it easy, if you multiply it by times 100, that's the salary you would start off with. And then I practice in London, and therefore you also get London weightage, you get on-call supplements, that all bumps up with your salary. Because there is such a long waiting list, and you offer only so much of your time, you can offer extra time should you choose to, and per day that you offer, the hospital will pay you £1,250 per day for a day, Monday to Friday, and 1,660 for the weekend. But that's only if you choose to, and a lot of us may not want. As soon as you become an NHS consultant, only then will you get admission to the private hospitals. It's a similar process. The hospital, it's a formality, and the hospital will then go through their medical advisory committee, and they will give you an appointment. Only investment you make is for your indemnity insurance, which rises according to your income, and you need a medical secretary. You do not need equipment, you do not need letterheads, you do not even need your visiting cards. The hospital gives it all for you. This I wanted to show you because this is where I live. And if you see the blue circle, that is a 6-lane road which orbits around London. It's called a motorway. And for those who haven't been there, please allow me to tell you that this is a road which is continuously flowing with no signals, no stops, no branches, and this orbits London, and it's called the M25. And the reason it's important is everything inside M25 is extremely expensive living for very, very heavily insured private population. These are the hospitals which are in central London, and the River Thames, it divides London into north and south. Right at the top there is the North Middlesex University Hospital, and I was appointed there in 2004 then to develop laparoscopic urology. There were 2 consultants, I was the third, we had 1 trainee, and we moved from pillar to strength, and we have now a large number of colleagues who are being trained regularly. We have such a large volume of patients that we have to train nurses to do our endoscopies, and our nurse endoscopists do all our routine diagnostic cystoscopies. Staff members are mentioned there. I will not go through that, but we do cater to a more than 650,000 population, and more than 40 languages we cater to. So we see a lot of exotic pathology. We have a lot of outpatient-led services, And we develop and deliver a very strong core of core urology services to our patients, as mentioned over there. And we also provide minimally invasive treatments such as urolips, HOLIPs, laparoscopic surgery. Most of our laparoscopic surgery is retroperitoneal surgery. We are still in the process of procuring a robot, which is the bane of my life, but there we are. Every consultant has to give 40 hours per week to the hospital. Each 4 hours is called one programmed activity. 7.5 of these are direct clinical care, such as ward rounds, theatres, clinics. In a typical all-day clinic, you see 24 patients, and in a typical theatre list, you'll have between 5 and 7 patients. Your on-call is also connected onto that, and therefore my weekly schedule is that, and I'm on site in the hospital for a week and a half, in a week only for a day and a half. The rest of the time I'm available off-site, and in the blanks, outside these contracted hours, I'm allowed to do private practice. You know, in various meetings I see a lot of slides with Warren Beatty and money. I think money is a byproduct. You should enjoy your private practice. And if you are working in a capital city, I'm sure all of you will have the same experience of mingling with the 0.1% population, and it's quite an endearing and entertaining part of your life journey. Just to put some facts, a standard consultation fee across the board would be between 200 and 300 pounds. A standard fee for a flexible cystoscopy, which is a walk-in, walk-out case, is about 200 pounds. I guess the TURP, I mean, my wife is a chartered accountant, so I'm just telling you from memory, don't quote me, but about 600 to 700 pounds you would get your surgeon's fees for a TURP, and for a PCNL, 8 to 900 or 10,000 pounds. That's more or less what you would get. I think that's comparable to the fees that are available over here. But you also get to work into beautiful places. For the die-hard cricket fans, this is the view of one of the private hospitals I was in. This is the Lord's Cricket Ground, and I make sure that when India is playing Pakistan, my patients are admitted there so that I can see and watch the match from the balcony. But it's not all about living and working. I wanted to also tell you what life is as a person living in London. Greenery is never far away from you. These are the views from my bedroom window, and this is where I walk my dog. Yes, we have unpredictable weather, but come March till the end of October, we are splashed with color. The days are long and it's wonderful weather. Outdoor living is fantastic. There are lots of spaces to walk, both in an urban and rural setting. For an outdoor living, if that is what you like, this is the place to be. Ample sporting opportunities, a lot of them subsidized and free even, and being the world's culture melting pot, culinary delights across the board are absolutely available at your fingertips. Imagine having fafda and jalebi in the morning, and in the evening it's cha-cha-cha time, and whatever suits your fancy, cabaret, theatres, musicals, it's all available within the city. Given you a little brief of how life could be in London, you're also at the doorstep of Europe, which is only an hour's flight away. You could be doing your ward round in the morning and hop onto a plane and have lunch in Paris. Again, with the exchange rate being what it is, your investments, your travels, your gifts, your meetings in India become that much more comfortable. But it's not all hunky-dory, because there is some consideration. When you live far away from your family, you will get that telephone call one day that your father or your mother is critical, start traveling. I got mine in the second wave of COVID and I'm still recovering from it. Your children will be born as British Indians. They will be of a different culture, and it's up to you to imbibe that culture and embrace it so that you and they do not have that identity crisis. I love my job so much that I don't think I will ever retire. But if I did have to, I suppose it would be perhaps a very lonely retirement there. Now, this slide I had put up and I'll let you read it before I attended this meeting. And essentially, this is the perception of surgeons, doctors living abroad, how wonderful everybody is having a great time in India. But after this morning, I would like to, I'm 57-year-old, and I'd like to give a big hug to all those traveling urologists and embrace them and give them all my blessings to try and stop that traveling as quickly as you possibly can. Because that was quite onerous and toxic as far as I understood. And I wonder whether that was even necessary. But I will not demean it because perhaps that is the need of the land. So, having given you a glimpse of the earning, the plus and minus points of where I live and what I do, my points are desh ya videsh, ye hai mera sandesh. If you want to have the life of an employee, and if that is your mentality, then the NHS will have a wonderful, secure world for you. You will enjoy a wonderful, fruitful clinical practice with all the restrictions and golden handcuffs. But if you want to fly high, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, then I think this is the wonderful land of opportunity where you're living in. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm quite happy, but I'm not satisfied. I have arrived yesterday from a high altitude trek where I reached up to 12,000 feet. And Himalaya taught me something which I'd like to share with you. When the asking is steep, keep your goals short, take deep breaths, small steps, and walk together, and the summit is yours. And when we reached that summit, the views were wonderful. As I see it, the gap between the haves and have-nots for this technology is widening over the last decade. And I think I would like to share my enthusiasm, my passion, my drive towards all the urologists here in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, collaborate, come together, have a strong camaraderie so that the robot becomes as easily accessible, amenable, adept, and commonplace as your rigid system. Thank you for offering me this platform.
Yes. Thank you for perfectly sticking to the time and enlightening all the young urologists whether to pursue UK as your destination.